somebody said to me, why are you always, this is a terrible thing to say, but their words, why are you always walking into like a dumpster fire? I was like, I don't view it as that. I used to walk in to see 500 kids and, I could orchestrate, 108-year-olds on the stage. It's the same kind of thing. You're kind of coming into a whirlwind, and until you can sift out and take control of what's happening in terms of like,
You didn't start a business to put out fires, but here you are, holding the extinguisher. Business isn't theory, it's pressure, late nights, tight margins, the thing that keeps breaking no matter how many times you fix it. When the room's on fire, the amateurs shout, the pros stay calm. That's the Fixers and Founders way. Part discipline, part rebellion. We walk into broken systems, find the pulse, and make it run clean. Because calm isn't weakness. Calm is a strategy. We're operators, builders, problem solvers. Born from the grind. Built for the builders. Join us now as we chat with Fixers and Founders just like you. Let's jump in.
Welcome to Fixers and Founders, where vision meets velocity. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
If you're leading a company that's growing, but every important decision suddenly feels heavier, if the stakes are higher, the variables are multiplying, and speed alone doesn't feel like the right answer anymore, today's guest matters. Because growth doesn't just create opportunity, it creates complexity. And the bigger the decisions become, the harder it is to hear the real signal behind the noise. Jody Hatch works with founders and leaders navigating exactly these moments, when businesses are viable, even successful on paper, but the decisions shaping their future carry real consequence. Her role isn't to rush the answer, it's to slow the moment down long enough for the right decision to surface, because clarity, timing, and judgment often matter more than speed. So if you're facing a decision in your business right now, one that feels bigger than the usual playbook, this conversation is for you. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
And this is Fixers and Founders. Let's get it done.
Awesome. Great intro. Great to have you, Jody. I'm
thank you.
excited to have you. You're one of my favorite guests today. We've only got two, so you're my favorite one. But you work with leaders who are already successful, yet feel increasingly complex as their businesses grow. What changes in decision making when a company moves from simple momentum into real complexity?
What changes is frustration level or a little bit of chaos. Like I just don't really know what to do, but I know I need to do something. And there's kind of a little bit of unrest.
Jody, entrepreneurs are often rewarded for moving quickly, though. So when does speed stop being an advantage and start becoming a liability?
Well, I think when they're going so fast that I call it throwing Jello at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so they know that there's some unrest. They're like, no, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. And I think that gets really too complicated. So, you can go fast when you are clear and intentional.
Good stuff. And I like how you call yourself an orchestrator because you conduct or a conductor. Is that what do you call yourself? Orchestrator or conducting?
Yeah, then both.
Both. With that structure, you're often working with leaders that are responsible for people and capital and long-term outcomes. And how do you orchestrate and conduct all that? What's different about the decisions at that level compared to an earlier stage founder with their decisions?
All right. So the orchestration is me taking all the pieces and parts and putting them together so that they blend together nicely. Remember, I used to be a music teacher, so this is in my blood, pulling all the pieces together. So, and it's also very teacher-like, right? Finding all the resources and the tools to make things go intentionally in one direction. So you're always beginning with the end in mind, which for folks that are already in business and is very complex, how does that look different in terms of the younger, or say the newer businesses? I think the complexity is that those that have been in business have just been throwing Jello at the wall longer, right? So when you're with a newer founder, you can really help them pinpoint the exact resources that they do need and try and streamline their structure so that they're a little bit more intentional and not feeling that need to have all of the things. When you go into something that has been there a while, I think you just have to do a lot of shaking out of what what's actually being used and what's useful and what really needs to go by the wayside.
Yeah, and then there's so many companies that are having different things and all these components, tool stack, tech stack, tool stack, different softwares, and like you say, shaking it out and figure out what's being used and how it needs to be used is a big part of what you do.
Yeah, I have a really fun little post-it note exercise I'm doing with a team next week, and I'm really excited about it because I gave them a little bit of homework, and it was, all the things that we have, all the things that are working, we're not working, they're kind of color coded, and we're going to have a good time with it. But I get laughing when the post-it notes start going up on the boards of all the things that they see that they have. They're like, "Wow, we don't really need all of that."
Yeah, it's always interesting, especially when you do something visual like that, because a list of components or software or whatever in a spreadsheet makes no sense. But when you put it up on a wall, like you're doing with post-it notes, it makes a big impact to help people understand what's really going on and how complex it is.
Well, same with people. We got expanding on that idea, and we're like, we should do this with like the function. And they wanted to do it with people, which was fine. Be like, I wear a lot of hats. Can we like put post-it notes of all the things I do so we could start categorizing like things that are mine that I could pass off? I was like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun.
That's awesome. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that whole signal and noise. Jody, when leaders are feeling overwhelmed with inputs and data, opinions, advisors, pressure from their team, how do you help them find the real signal beneath all of that noise?
I'm the queen of questions, so it usually is in conversation. And a lot of times it's like, it's okay. I'm just gonna uncover. I'm just gonna ask questions and see what's here. You don't want to ever make it wrong. They already feel, they're already feeling the pressure. They don't want to be judged. It's more like, let me just have a conversation and ask what's working, what's not. Let me ask your team. Let me compile all the data, organize it. This is the orchestrator part, and then we can pick out what we need to have and not have, and go from there. And you got to make light of it too. You got to have fun. It can't be like mean.
I definitely like the orchestrator conductor. I mean, you and I've talked about that illustration at length. It just really does put it into perspective for people, and especially people who've gone to school and they've been in that teaching situation or the learning situation.
Well, somebody said to me, "Why are you always?" This is a terrible thing to say, but their words. Why are you always walking into like a dumpster fire? I was like, I don't view it as that, right? To me, I mean, I used to walk in to see 500 kids, and I could orchestrate, 108-year-olds on the stage. It's the same kind of thing. You're kind of coming into a whirlwind, and until you can sift out and take control of what's happening in terms of like, okay, this here, this here, this here, I can see all of those pieces. When I come into an organization, to me, it's just seeing the big picture and asking questions through conversation to shake out what really needs to happen.
It's awesome. So, as an integrator for companies running on EOS, you sit between the vision and execution of that vision. How do you translate the big picture vision into grounded and durable decisions?
Very carefully. Again, I'm going to say it's a lot of conversation, and it's a lot of reworking, and it's a lot of, did you mean this or did you mean that? I think it really has to do a lot with conversation. And once you get clear on that and everybody's repeating it and they get back to it, then it's just, it's using the system, using the EOS system to have those weekly check-ins to have, are we making the right progress in the right direction? And you'll come to find out a lot of times that it isn't maybe what they actually meant, and you need to do some tweaking, and you just say, oh, okay, well, we didn't ask that question before. Now we know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to another integrator, a fellow integrator, earlier this week, and she was telling me that she had not had a one-on-one check-in with her visionary in over a month, and I was advising that that's a bad thing. You guys need to be staying on the same page, and you as the integrator need to be forcing that meeting on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I have my integrator role with the visionary is a lot of one-on-ones, just a lot. Because especially if a team is newer to EOS, there's just so many things that you need to get clarified. So it's just an ongoing conversation.
I have to take just one quick step back, Jody, because you said something that seemed a bit out of reach to me. I'm no stranger to being in these dumpster fires. And if we're honest, we know they're not always ice cream and rainbows. So, how do you make it fun? How do you keep it fun? Fun is often not a word that comes up in my day to day.
I think it's because it's work that I love, right? I don't see it as a dumpster fire. To me, it's really where I excel. And Forrest has pointed this out before. He's like, Jody, you are like a builder. You're not a maintainer. And that I look back and I'm like, oh wait, you're right. Because I'll go in even as a teacher. I went in, I would go in. Oftentimes I was hired after a music teacher like quit over the weekend, right? And be like, yeah, I'll come in and like make things happen. And oh, you have a concert in 3 weeks? Sure, I can make that happen with 500 kids, no problem, right? So going into a situation that had a lot of unrest is normal for me. And I did that also in the ag world where I've been in and helping a lot of farms. There were a lot, the situation was always coming into, I'm going to say, a crisis. So I love doing that work. I like when I've gotten it straightened out and then I can pass it off to somebody else to maintain it because then it gets boring. I really enjoy the variety of coming into a new situation. So when you ask about how do I make it fun, to me, it just is fun. It's just work that I love.
That's a great answer. So for the founders that are listening right now that feel stuck between multiple good options but can't just confidently choose one of them, what's a practical step that they can take to get some clarity?
Kind of make like a checklist chart. What are all the wants? What are all the wishes? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the consequences? What are the strategic, things that could happen? Are we doing a short term, a long term? So I kind of just put a list of all of the things that would be on the wish list. Right. And then you start going through them. You say, okay, well, if you do it this way, does it check these boxes? And which boxes are the most important to you right now? And which ones could wait?
That's good work.
Yeah, sounds like a great, sensible approach.
Well, I was a teacher and I'm a mom. So checklists and, what does somebody really want? You want to cover it all.
All right. What is one place in nature or a setting where you consistently find your clearest thinking? Because I know you like nature and hiking and things, but what's a place you like to go?
Anywhere outside where there are not people. And so not specific. I really enjoy the mountains. My very favorite place is probably out west. I walk a lot. That's where I do a lot of conversation actually on the phone because that's when I'm moving. That's when I think best. But when I need to reset, I am definitely outside, somewhere in the woods.
And maybe with some alpacas with you.
Not anymore. Oh, yeah. We didn't touch on that, did we?
Yeah. We did not touch about that. That's okay.
That's all right.
You love
So
your
Tony
animals.
knows I had an alpaca farm for 16 years. I've been in that industry for 22, and I still facilitate a lot of integrator work in that world because I'm constantly walking into dumpster fires.
Well, it's been great having you with us today, Jody. Really cool to get to know you and pick your brain here a little bit. Before we get into the last question, what is the best way for folks listening to reach you should they want to be a part of your checklist exercise?
I just give out my cell phone. I love when people text me. I mean, if that's okay, that works for me.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my number is 315-529-6844. And seriously, just shoot me a text. Hey, we need to talk. I do a lot of hashtag Just Ask Jody. And I love when people are like, hey, somebody said I should talk to you or I should ask you a question about XYZ. And I'll be like, oh, and if I don't know, I'll be like, oh, but you know what? Hold on. Let me talk to somebody who does because I'm a huge net weaver. So I'll know somebody who knows somebody. And probably my favorite line is I know a guy.
Oh, that's great. So, Jody, what is one simple thing in life that brings you joy more than people would expect?
More than
That's too easy.
that is too easy. Something that travel. I love to travel. Anything
You
new.
do.
Anything
You
new.
do.
Love to meet new people. Love to hear about just all the cool. I love to hear stories about what people are doing. I find it extremely inspiring.
What is the most exotic place you've traveled to?
South Alabama.
Right. I've been to Peru because that was, I was an alpaca breeder and I worked for a very large alpaca farm. We went to the alpaca fiesta. So the most exotic place, I mean, that was the most unusual. But again, my favorite place is out west. Big sky.
I know you know the term bless your heart. You learned that while you were down here visiting with me.
Yes, I did. I've been using it too. Yeah. Bless your heart.
I'll probably use it with founders, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, actually, I've just been doing a lot of, okay, let me think about that. Yeah.
All right.
true.
Well, this was Jody Hatch reminding us that not every business challenge is solved by moving faster. Sometimes the real work of leadership is creating enough space to make the right decisions or put Post-its on the wall. That works sometimes too. From complex transitions to high-stakes leadership moments, Jody's approach shows that judgment, clarity, and timing can be just as powerful as action. If you're navigating a decision that feels heavier than the rest, this might be an episode worth revisiting. I'm Forrest.
I'm Tony.
And this has been Fixers and Founders.
Oh, my darlings, look at you. Still here with me till the end. That's how I know you're one of us. The fixers, the founders, the ones who build in the chaos and still manage to laugh through it. Drop a comment, share your sparks, and connect with each other. This is where the net weaving begins. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the fire blowing. Until next time.